Hello and welcome to our 100th episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. Today is a very special episode because clearly we've been around for 100 episodes and it's freaking crazy.
Seriously, yeah, that's insane to think about.
Time has quite literally flown by. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but to put into perspective, we just went through and looked at when our very first episode got launched. That was September 4th of 2021. And right now we're just starting March of 2025. So we've been doing this for a minute.
Damn. Yeah, a lot of progress. We'll put it that way. We're much better than when we started.
Oh yeah. We've definitely gotten more comfortable. We're having a lot more fun with this. We know what we're doing at this point.
I'd hope so, at least.
To a degree, yeah.
I don't know if I'd say we know what we're doing, but we're here.
We're here. This is our passion project. We're doing this because we love talking anime.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely that one.
Well, we're happy that all of you are here to listen to us as well. Definitely helps us continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you for all the people we've met along this way and everybody who has listened to us since the beginning and, somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We like to imagine that us offering a Japanese word and giving the manga mentions in addition to the anime is what sets us apart from other anime podcasts.
And if not, well, we're something we like anyway, so it doesn't change anything.
Right. We're here, you're here, so let's get going with what we're doing today. But before we do that, we like to drink in every episode. So what I am drinking today is going to be some local Timekeeper Distillery bourbon whiskey. And on the side, I will also have a Hinterland Door County cherry wheat. What are you drinking, Matt?
A little homage to kind of our first episode, Kanpai, first of all.
Oh yeah, Kanpai.
And then as far as what I am drinking, I finished off one of my bottles of the distilled for me Journeyman's Featherstone whiskey. And then I am having a Hinterland Packerland Pilsner. Pretty good. I enjoy it.
It's a local brewery right here, so got to support local as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is actually finishing off that pack that I got.
Oh yeah, because you got a subscription to some beer.
Yep.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Matt, you want to let our listeners know what our title of this episode is all about?
Yeah, if they can't read, it is Apothecary Diaries Season 1. And this is a shoujo drama consisting of 24 episodes following along Mao Mao, who is the daughter of an apothecary. One day, she is kidnapped and sold off to the royal palace. Due to her knowledge of poisons, she saves one of the royal concubines. Mao Mao continues to use her knowledge of medicine and poisons to solve mysteries throughout the royal palace.
Perfect. That's a real solid idea on what all this is really about.
Appreciate it. Thank you. As this is the 100th word and I remember about half of them, I'm interested to know what you came up with for this special episode.
Today's Lantz's lessons will be the Japanese word for poison. And poison is doku. Doku is spelt D-O-K-U. Doku is obviously very relevant to today's episode because our apothecary expert knows everything about poison. She kind of has quite the fetish about it too. So very awesome for her.
Yeah, fetish for, that's a fair point, yes.
Yeah, so doku. Don't get doku'd.
Yes, absolutely not. That'd be a bad time.
If it's one thing that I've picked up from this anime is that getting poisoned seems to be pretty goddamn common in this era, wherever they are.
Yes, probably Edo period, if I had to guess, somewhere around that line.
Going to some Japanese timeline
to
describe a Chinese timeline.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, this is Chinese, not Japanese.
The point is, it's old as fuck.
Yeah, no electricity.
Yeah.
So
that being said, too, like as old as this appears to be, Mao Mao fucking knows her stuff when it comes to poisons and herbs and what heals what does what just in general when it comes to like vitamins and minerals. And she was talking about fiber one time, like
lead.
Yeah, like, she is extra smart compared to what timeline this is supposed to be around.
Well, we do know her father is very smart. And
both of them.
Yes. Yes. Both fathers are very smart. Not in that sense, but the adoptive father and real father are both very smart. So it's an interesting... She's a sponge, we'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely amazing. With this being more or less like a detective kind of a show,
Yes.
I kept wanting to try to make some kind of parallels to like Batman in some kind of way. Because like Mamo, she's solving all these mysteries and crimes and whatnot. And she's got this background of poisons. And then I'm like, well, Batman's a detective. And he's got this background of martial arts and being rich. So is there some way I can connect these two? I tried so damn hard and I just can't make a connection. But I just really wanted to. And so I'm just throwing this out there just because.
You tried. That's a try. That's a reach.
Yeah, the point was this isn't just a detective show. This was a little bit of detective plus background stuff that made it more interesting. And I think that's what really pulled all of our viewers in, was because it wasn't like super boring about solving crimes or whatnot. There was something related to our main character that we could do this to begin with.
Yeah, nothing was like a reach, you could say, as far as like knowledge of things was concerned, because if she's an apothecary, she's going to have some sort of medical knowledge. Her father had Western and Eastern medicine knowledge, so he was very smart. She essentially tried imitating him from the time that she can remember. It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And not only tried imitating, like tried to like one up him all the time too.
Yep.
Which was nice because like she fell short most of the time, and then her dad's just like, "You should have just asked. I could have told you."
Yes.
But before we continue much more of our anime talk, Matt typically likes to read the manga for every episode, but for this one specifically, Matt actually read the light novel. So, was there any differences between the anime and the light novel today? NANI?
Honestly, not too many. If anybody has listened to our World's Finest Assassin episode, which is, I think, the first one I covered the light novel for, it was like 12 episodes, one light novel, and that is on par with this one. So 24 episodes, 2 volumes, and it's not an exact carbon copy, but it's very close.
Okay. Well, if it's that close, it almost sounds like this light novel is probably a very fast read. Like this anime had a lot of information, a lot of talking points, and a lot of information to throw in there. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much the conversations happened as you would read them. It was pretty spot on.
Interesting.
A couple things that they don't really talk about is something such as Gyokyo, who is the red-haired concubine. Mm-hmm. They explain why she was never concerned about the face powder poison. And it was because she was so light-skinned that she didn't actually need to put the face powder on herself.
Oh, okay.
And that's why she had never got poisoned. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Sure. So she didn't just get lucky and avoid poisoning herself. She was just never had to worry about it to begin with.
Exactly.
Okay.
You find out that Mao Mao actually wrote that note about the powder to all the concubines.
Oh, not just the one.
Not just the one. And then Gyokyo was the only one that was like, that's interesting. Okay, let's see what's... Like, she actually put some thought, merit, whatever, she was suspicious about not really what was written, but just like, okay, yeah, this is actually kind of serious. When they were doing when Jinshi was trying to figure out who actually wrote the note, there were a lot more girls with freckles. Like, basically everybody in that room had freckles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The anime definitely didn't show that.
No,
part.
The anime did not do that. So that's why Mao Mao was in that room with Jinshi, is all the girls in that room had freckles.
Interesting.
And basically they were like, all right, here's girls that could be in the area. Okay, now let's break this down. Okay, now all the girls that had freckles that could be in the area. All right, here's the one that can read, and it's Mao Mao.
Okay. So they just added an extra layer on it just to be a little bit more funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mao Mao actually had to do food tastings for Gyokyo's baby as well.
I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah, taste my food, fuck my baby.
It's a girl, so, at least at that time, that's kind of how they thought.
Yeah.
Mao Mao believes that Gyokyo is about 2 to 3 years older than her, so she thinks she's like 20.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, this is without, because they never actually go into her age. They just say that she's, older, which could really mean a lot of things.
As far as Gyokyo?
Yeah, Gyokyo.
Okay.
I know they do talk about how Mao Mao is 17, so that's where I'm getting that math from.
Yeah, and me and Matt talked about this outside of the podcast, in like episode 10-ish or something around that.
Yeah.
They made a mention that Mao Mao was 17, and at that point in time, she had been working in the capital for a little bit. I don't know if they gave a true timeline. I mean, I think I put in my notes at one point in time, like 10 months had gone by. So it's possible when she first entered the capital, she was 16. But all we know for certain is mid-season 1, she's for sure 17.
Yep. You find out that Jinshi is Jinshi has a lot more pull when it comes to the concubines than kind of how the anime makes it appear. Basically, the Emperor is using Jinshi in part. He uses them for a lot of things, but one of the things that he does is he tests the compatibility with the Emperor, and Jinshi is the one that basically tests that stuff. So we know that Jinshi is there to kind of woo all the women in the inner palace, but he's also there to kind of help. From what it makes it seem like, he is essentially the right-hand man of the Emperor.
Yeah, more or less. Like, he's got his fingers in everything.
Yeah. And then when Mao Mao is taking care of Li Hua, it takes about 2 months. That's how long she's there for.
And Li Hua was the one who was on death's bed, dying because of the makeup.
Yep. Yeah, the one who lost her son. I think it was the son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because then we get the further information about the caretaker who poisoned a baby with honey.
That was a different one, but yes.
Oh, those weren't connected?
No, that was not connected. So Li Hua is the slightly younger one, so they call her the...
Yeah, the one who got poisoned with honey was the mother who looks like Jinshi.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry.
That'll be a topic of conversation.
Oh, definitely.
But yes, so not quite the same person, but similar. All of the girls were given a hairpin by Gyokyo, and the girls were excited to get Mao Mao all dolled up. Basically, they make more of an event of it, is really all it is. The pouch Mao Mao gave was half her year's salary to the grandma to allow... Okay. So when Mao Mao is talking to grandma about dog boy Lihaku, she gives...
Which is the soldier boy.
Yeah, which is the soldier boy. Mao Mao gives a pouch to the grandmother, which is about half of Mao Mao's year's salary. And that is essentially a payment for Lihaku to see one of the courtesans.
When you say pouch, like a
money pouch. Yeah.
Okay. This has nothing to do with like the warming pouches.
No.
All right. So she just gave her a big sack of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 1 year into Mao Mao's 2-year essentially captivity, you could say, because if you remember, she was kidnapped and then put into the royal palace, and it's a 2-year stint. Well, she made it 1 year and then got fired.
Okay. What was it, like exactly 1 year?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
They say it's been 1 year, I have 1 year left, and then like the whole incident happens where everybody that is associated to Adu's lady in waiting who gets killed. I think they say she gets killed. Not 100% sure, but it's the older lady who gives the baby honey and kills the emperor's son. Because Mao Mao is in relation to her, Jinshi has to make the choice to let her go. Her as in Mao Mao.
Okay. I guess I never really thought about this until this moment that we're talking about it. When she got fired, because they kind of like dropped the topic of her sellers receiving her payments.
Yep.
Because she got fired, would that mean that like her contract is up, period?
Correct.
So she okay.
Yeah, that whole contract is kaput, you could say.
So it's kind of like pros and cons there.
Yes. It honestly, I like it because it just makes that plot point. It just gets rid of that plot point that really we only talk about in the first couple episodes.
Yeah. Actually, now that we're talking about this, I kind of like that a little bit more because there was like that one episode stint where like she got fired, she went home, she played a role in the courtesans and like whatever, met up with Jinshi again and got rehired. I'm like,
Yep.
Well, then what was the freaking point in all this if she got fired and got rehired? Well, if she effectively canceled her contract, now she's essentially a free woman and now she can start over.
She does have another contract because she essentially has to, quote unquote, pay back. This is something me assuming, but she is under contract with Jinshi, which does get brought up because when Lakan, which is the monocle guy who is her father, her actual father.
Oh yeah, the real father at the end of the series.
She talks about how when they are, he says, as my reward, I want her, as in Mao Mao. Mm-hmm. And she talks about, well, I'm under contract with Jinshi, so she can't be the prize.
Okay, so that's fair, but kind of what my concern was that she no longer has to worry about her kidnappers.
Yes.
That contract's over.
Yep.
She's under a new contract that she's much more comfortable with.
Correct.
Okay, so that's cool to a degree.
Yeah, we won't go into any more into that one. One thing that you find out, it's kind of, I guess, common knowledge if you really think about it, but courtesans, one of the things that sets them apart is that they're not just prostitutes. They're selling their time, not their body. Mm-hmm. And they make mention of that a few times in the light novel. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what makes them so much more grand than the typical prostitute. And then they do kind of talk about it in the anime, how Mao Mao's mother was actually like, or not Mao Mao's mother. They talk about how some courtesans basically are sold for an added value because they're pure.
Yeah, that's something I picked up on my second watch is that, my first watch, I was like, okay, well, they're giving up their sexuality and that's why they're there. Like, men just want someone that's sexy and hot, whatever, but they're actually paying for their purity. Mm-hmm. And I guess on some small degree, it's like, well, if I'm the one that can be the first, that's kind of what they're paying for.
Yep.
Outside of just entertainment as far as songs, musical instruments, playing games, conversation, just in general, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. This is definitely an anime thing. There's no bath scenes. Like, there's no talk about stuff happening in the bath. Like, none of some of those conversations do happen, but they don't happen in a bath.
Okay. I mean, there was 2 bath scenes.
Yep. And if
a pro to the anime being like not making any of it lewd or to any kind of degree, it was
there was no real fan service.
Right.
I guess technically, yes, it is fan service, but it's not they could have easily made it much more of a fan service type thing.
They definitely could have.
And they gave purpose to it. There was meaningful conversations that were happening in these bath scenes. Again, these conversations did happen. They just didn't happen in the same manner.
Okay, interesting.
So volume 1 ends with Mao Mao getting fired.
Which is basically when season 1, or core 1 gets...
Correct. Yep.
Concluded, yeah. Perfect, yeah.
They didn't really make it. So this is probably the biggest difference, is Mao Mao does get returned and she does get dressed up, but they don't talk about it as this grand events that happen in the anime. Like, they talk about how Jinshi gets her and she's dressed up and she's wearing makeup and all this other stuff, but they just make it seem more of an event in the anime that they did in the light novel.
Oh yeah, because the anime made it sound like, well, they clearly went to some rich place.
Yep.
Mama made a mention like, I can steal something and whatever, because whatever, and she talks herself out of it. Mm-hmm. She was dressed up to the nines and beyond.
So that part happens, but it's when Mao Mao leaves to come back to the royal palace that she's all dressed up and she's wearing the makeup and all of that stuff. So the event where she runs into Jinshi and then he's like, well, I guess I'll just buy you. Mm-hmm. And that part happens, but it's the after where she goes back to the royal palace that doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
You find out that Lakan is about 40. He's in his early 40s.
Okay.
Just gives timeline information. They don't really go into the test/prep of her trying to be the, I don't remember what the actual title is.
But she had to do a test that she failed at.
The test that she failed, they're just like, yeah, I tried doing the test to get this and I failed miserably. Like, that's basically what it was.
Okay.
They talk about how the same concept where she was like, if I'm not interested, I just can't retain anything. They talk about that.
Yep.
But as far as like, oh, I tried so hard to study, I stayed up. None of that. She was just like, I tried studying, couldn't retain any of it. I failed. So now I am Jinshi's servant, essentially.
Okay.
Jinshi doesn't ask Mao Mao about how to reduce the price of a courtesan when he left Mao Mao. So that incident where she basically downgrades Jinshi so that he can go meet up with whoever at that restaurant / brothel.
When they made him look like a commoner?
Yes. So when they split off, Jinshi does not ask her that question.
Oh, okay.
They just kind of split.
Does he ever ask her, like, how do you...
He does.
Okay.
And then that happens after... It happened after everything happens. And she just kind of looks at him, like, sighs, and then goes through the explanation. Like, she doesn't give him any sort of look. She doesn't retort in any sort of way. She's just kind of like, whatever. Like, I shouldn't have to explain this to you, but I'm gonna kind of thing. She doesn't care, essentially.
She doesn't care? Okay. Because in the anime, she was definitely, like, offended. But
yes.
Like, this is the worst question that you can ask someone.
Yep. So when the incident with Jinshi happens, where the pillar falls down, it's about a year from the moment where the craftsman dies and that incident happens.
Damn, that's a long time difference.
Yep.
I would have imagined month tops.
Yep.
After we concluded the whole the three sons deal.
Yeah. Sorry. So it's my timeline's a little messed up. So when the instruments were stolen and him dying, it was about a year in between.
Oh, with that explosion and the fire and stuff?
Yeah. But even still, like, it doesn't, you would think that it's been like a couple months, but no, it's been a year.
Still, yeah. I'd imagined only a few weeks in this anime really goes by this entire time, other than being told in episode 10 that 10 months had gone by.
Seriously. Mao Mao ends up getting 15 stitches when the pillar essentially, like, crashes into her leg, I guess is the best way to put it, because it doesn't actually...
Yeah, I think they did say 15. I did catch that on my second watch.
Okay. Perfect. Gaoshuin. So if you don't remember who Gaoshuin is, that is essentially Jinshi's
second-hand man.
Secretary, second-hand man. His assistant. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's Jinshi's assistant. He's 34.
That sounds familiar.
Okay. They talk about how he got married at 16. Here is something. You never hear Gaoshuin say Jinshi, and he refuses to say his name.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's a reason for that.
Oh, well, now this might get into one of my fan theories that I want to talk about in the future. Like,
okay.
We do know in the anime that the character Jinshi is a 19-year-old when he's... No. The character Jinshi is a 24-year-old when he's actually a 19-year-old, and we don't know...
Correct.
What his real name is at that point.
Correct. Yeah, okay. So we don't know. So Jinshi is not a real person.
Okay. I can definitely follow this. And
so that is why Gaoshuin will never say Jinshi. He always is like my master, something along those lines. So he's never said his name.
Okay. Is that something you picked up in the light novel, or is that something that they said directly? It's something they say in the light novel. He's like, I will not say your name because your name is not Jinshi. Okay, interesting. I was like, oh, okay. And then this is just something to kind of prove how knowledgeable Mao Mao is. So while Mao Mao was studying Lihaku, she knew that he was right-handed due to his right arm being bigger than his left arm. Only slightly, but yeah. Maybe he just jerks off a little more extra. I think they have a little bit more self-control. Maybe. So, and then that's it. That's all I got. Okay, so nothing too crazy. No, absolutely not. A couple tidbits that are nice to know about, but yeah, okay, good information. And like you said, each novel covered each core, so absolutely, I would imagine that this would only continue forward. Did you find out how many light novels are current / if it's concluded or any kind of that information? Quick Google search.
So as of September of 24, there have been 14 volumes, and it looks to be ongoing.
God damn. So at this rate, there could be like 7 seasons of this stuff.
Yeah, this can continue. Yeah, there's no ending in sight. We'll just put it that way.
Wow. I'm honestly surprised because at the rate things have been going, it almost kind of seems like these are a bunch of mini arcs about like solving little mysteries and stuff like that. So like,
I mean, look at Detective Conan. That's been around for like 30 years.
True. But I was going to say like at what point will this start to get like boring? But at the same rate, if it's got something going for it and there's a bunch of background information at the same time, it'll keep the interest. Why not?
Absolutely. Maybe our favorite eunuch gets ousted at one point, and
definitely.
I feel like that's going to happen, but that'll be for a future or later on talk.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, at the point of our conversation today, season 2 is currently airing. Correct. It is not complete.
Yes.
Just to be honest, like episode 8 of season 2 just dropped. I know we record a little bit in advance, so it's not like we know anything. So we're not going to act like we know anything.
Yeah, I have actually not continued.
No, yeah, same here.
All right, and that's, like I said, that's everything as far as the manga/light novel references are concerned. So let's get into this, because I think this is the first shoujo anime we've watched as far as
topics are concerned. Yeah, probably.
Well, as far as us covering anything, I think this is the...
Yeah, because, we like our shonen style anime and all that stuff, but as far as like what might be considered slice of life, shoujo, this is probably our first. It took 100 episodes to do it, but we're here. And it's obviously clear because this is definitely a super popular anime. We had to see what this was all about. Matt, you had made mention that you had watched this prior to us covering this. Yep. So you knew that this was something that you wanted to cover.
Yep. I'll be honest. Cameron was like, this was my number 2 anime of the year last year.
Oh, damn, that much.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a watch. I knew all 24 episodes were out. Mm-hmm. It was all dubbed, so it was kind of an easy thing to watch. I was like, fuck it, let's go. Let's see how it is. And it did not disappoint.
Yeah, true. I think my little sister watched it too. She said she loved it.
Yep.
And yeah, this was kind of one of those, when you're going through the what's coming up on next season's anime list, obviously these kind of synopsises don't sound like super interesting, but you kind of just have to give things a try, and it pulls you in. I got very surprised by this one.
It's kind of easy to judge a book by its cover on this one, because all it is Mao Mao and Jinshi standing like in front of this giant gate, and you're like, what is this really? And then
it looks super like casual.
It does. The artwork is beyond fantastic.
Definitely.
The story arc is super good. Everything makes sense. There's a little bit of anime logic in some things, like kind of the medicine that she knows. It's like, do people at that time period actually know this kind of stuff? And she's also 17, which is kind of young. Right. So it's like, but beyond that type of stuff, it doesn't seem to be too crazy as far as like what anime logic is concerned.
No, and I totally agree. I think this story might have been a little bit of a downgrade if Mao Mao was just like a standoff when it came to poison knowledge.
Yep.
It was definitely a necessary element to add that her fake dad was such a master, and then like she could essentially stand on the shoulder of that giant in order to be who she is today and to give us the story that it is.
Yep. And then you have this super beautiful eunuch, and so he's very interesting. You find out a lot about him. The suspense throughout the entire show, it does a very good job of building it, having a good story arc, and then throwing a little bit of just kind of haha moments, just easy, let's cut the tension just a little bit moments. Every time Mao has her cat face.
I wanted to jump in and interrupt you so bad right there, but I 100% agree. every time she jumped into those cat figures, every time she had those like shiver moments.
Yep.
Whether it was being creeped out by Jinshi or if it was her getting excited.
Yep.
If it's one thing that most anime viewers already know is that like the anime culture is typically revolved around cutesy cat girls. Like that's one thing I read a long time ago. Don't know how for sure that is, but at least that's how it kind of originated.
The internet would never lie.
Yeah, right. But putting cat figure on Mamao was definitely a huge additive.
Yeah, the ears, the face, everything. And I bust out laughing every time it happens because it's unexpected.
It definitely. And it didn't feel out of place either. Like she had this tone about who she was as a character that it was spot on. It was acceptable and it really added to her and her storyline.
I think they make mention of it, but I know they do, especially in the light novel, where Jinshi is talking to Lihaku, and it's the whole Jinshi is willing to borrow money to Lihaku so that he can buy one of the courtesans, and basically he makes mention how his cat is willing to be around her, and it's kind of funny because he's like, yeah, I don't typically, if I were to get a pet, I wouldn't get a cat. I would want a dog so I could go hunt with. And I'm like, that's fuck, that's so on par with him.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh yeah, no, she's reminds me of your cats, where it's like, I'll look, but I'm not going to stay anywhere near you people because I don't know who you are.
As you were listening to this light novel, did they make any references to all of her cat-like animated features?
No, not her animated features, but just kind of, she has the put-off personality, standoff personality, that's the word I was looking for, that a cat would put. So the first time they bring up a cat is during that conversation.
Okay.
And this is so good. I completely understand where Cameron's coming from, where this is definitely something. I wouldn't vote this for my anime of the year just because of Freyrin was far and away my favorite thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
But this is definitely top. I don't want to say top 2 because I don't remember exactly what came out last year, but top 3 probably.
I guess I can agree with that. This had a solid story.
A fantastic story. This is something that you can really recommend to anybody, somebody new into anime, somebody who is looking for recommendations. Like, this is absolutely a for everyone type of thing.
Yeah, super neutral.
Like, I could potentially watch this. Like, you could have kids watch this, and there's nothing going on with this that would be like, all right, maybe you shouldn't watch this kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Another thing I liked about this was I felt smarter watching this.
Yeah.
Much like Dr. Stone, which Dr. Stone is on my top 3 anime. You got to learn bits and pieces. It didn't even need to be too extravagant, but it was enough to learn about poisons and whatnot. And you just felt more full about yourself after watching some of these episodes. Like I walked away learning / just feeling better just in general.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job of explaining all the processes. It didn't just go from 1 to 2 to 5. Like, it was like, hey, here's a fluid story. This is how we went from here to here to here. Like, even when they're talking about all of the singular incidences that happen that make, it's like, okay, yep, this happens, this happens, this happens. And none of those 4 things are actually connected until you're like, are they connected? Like, oh yeah, this all seems oddly suspicious to be singular incidents. And it's like, oh yeah, no, those dots do connect. Everything makes sense as to why you would come to believe that everything's connected together.
Right. And to take that to the next level, like when it came to all of these mysteries that she was solving, there wasn't like a true anime logic skip on anything. Like they did drop a bunch of hints in earlier in the episode or even earlier in the arc, depending on which mystery we're solving.
Yep.
So there was receipts for every kind of like aha moment.
Yep.
So I like that too. Like it wasn't too far when it came to bullshit, but it was enough to make you feel good about solving this mystery.
Everything was believable. Absolutely.
Did you walk away this first season with a favorite character?
Man, that's kind of hard because you have your main characters, so obviously Mao Mao, Jinshi, and then like a handful of characters I'm really interested in knowing more about. Mm-hmm. Like the newest concubine. What is going on with her? Like,
which one was the newest one again?
So the newest one is Lulan. So she's the one where they make mention how she's wearing something. She's essentially wearing a different style of clothing. Her appearance changes every time the emperor comes to see her.
Yep.
So we know that she is the daughter of somebody who has high influence. So are they scheming something up? And so is that the reason why she's changing her appearance every time? Because she doesn't want to really get in favor with the emperor, and she just wants to kind of be in his good graces, essentially, by being a concubine. Maybe. We know very little to nothing about her, besides the fact that who she is the daughter of. Mm-hmm. And then Lee Haku has always also made a statement at the end of the season how her and her father were kind of seemed like they were like scheming, kind of talking to each other, and it's like that's suspicious, but it's also not suspicious. So who is she? But if I had to pick a favorite character, I mean, I guess I'd pick Mao Mao just because like she's just the most entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of hard not to choose the main character in this one. We revolve around her so goddamn much.
Yes. And she's a fantastic character. Like, there's nobody should have any real complaints about her. Like, everything makes sense. She's a great character. She's thoughtful. She's thorough. The character growth, you could say that she doesn't have a lot of character growth. She's kind of a similar character from the beginning of the season than she is at the end of the season. But she was a really good character at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
so it's like
she was mature from step one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only real growth you got from her was the willingness to accept her father as who he is, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's a good character.
And other than that, like, I want to see where she goes from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's very deep in her thoughts. She's very well formulated for literally every situation.
Absolutely.
At least as far as now. I would like to see a situation in the future where she's just flabbergasted and like she doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And she's gonna fear for her life because she can't solve this crime. And
okay.
What I mean, I got a question. You know what? Screw it. I got
okay.
While we're here,
okay.
Since I kind of brought up, there was a moment that Mama was like to Jinshi, if you were to ever be the one to administer or do my death, whatever, for lack of better words, can it please be with poison?
Yes.
Now that happens, and if you want to start reading into things, this sounds like some hardcore foreshadowing.
Potentially.
So with as much further information that we know is available, I would really like to imagine that this could be a solid potential to where Mao Mao fucks up and the Emperor's like, okay, well, you screwed up, so now I have no need for you anymore.
Yep.
Or you screwed up so bad, this is your punishment. And then Jinshi's like, okay, well, I'll take care of the situation. I'll poison her to death. And then I would like to hypothesize that he will give her a poison that she is semi-immune to where it'll appear that she dies, much like that one woman who was planting
lady in waiting that we haven't figured out anything about. The one who staged her death. Yes,
exactly that. I think she would like essentially mimic that idea.
Okay,
where she would appear dead through this poison.
Okay,
that anybody else would die through, and then she would come back because her body is just more immune to it. So
okay,
that's kind of where I want to go. We have so much information to play with in the future, so I would like to see this one be played with.
Okay. I feel like that's not going to happen because you've mentioned it. They've kind of already done that.
Right.
With one of our characters appearing to die and then not actually being dead. I feel like if they're going to do that, she's going to die. Like, I feel like if they're going to kill Mao Mao, like, that's going to be the end of the series, is she did something and she's going to, all right, sucks, bye. Like Romeo and Juliet kind of death by suicide or something.
And like Jinshi follows along.
Maybe. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's 100% invested in her.
Yep.
So maybe he would just jump on board.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was a good suspenseful moment, but I think that was all, like, it played its purpose, where it's just going to be that right there, where she kind of was like, if I do something where I am being put to death, please poison me. And it's going to be like, actually, you're never going to do anything. Mm-hmm. Or something's going to happen and the Emperor's going to be like, yeah, you're too useful. You're exonerated from said crime, and now you're in my debt, kind of thing.
Right. I'm on board with all that. I just felt like that specific moment could have been a foreshadowing moment.
Absolutely.
So I just want to let our listeners remember that moment, just in case.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I guess so you didn't talk about your favorite character. Is it going to be Mao Mao, or did you have somebody else in mind?
Mine is Mao Mao.
Okay, that's completely fair.
But I could give a shout out to Jinshi, because obviously he's the next main character.
Yep.
He's interesting. He's mysterious.
Okay.
And that's kind of why he would be a next favorite one, is because, like, we know him, but we don't know him.
Okay.
So we can throw out so many ideas.
Absolutely. We could go down the rabbit hole essentially forever, mm-hmm. and kind of be like, all right, so how is this going to go? How's this going to go? What? Yeah. No, I do completely understand on that one. I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to Mao Mao's father, as in the one she calls her father, do you think they have any sort of biological relation?
Like maybe she's the niece of this guy?
Potentially.
Interesting. I kind of want to say that maybe this man saved her actual father, Lakan, at one point in his life.
Okay.
And Lakan trusted this man so much,
yep,
that he was like, hey, look after my daughter that I'm not supposed to truly know about, kind of deal. So I want to say it's like a push-off kind of thing. I don't think there's a blood relation. I just want to say it was like a professional kind of trust.
Okay. So Lauman is the name of her real father, quote-unquote real father, not biological father, but the one that she calls father.
The apothecary father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Lauman.
Okay.
What do you think?
So I know the answer to this question.
Uh-oh. Is this in the light novel?
They do not go out and actually say it, but they have said it both in the anime and in the light novel.
Ooh, okay. What did I miss out on?
They talk about how there was another person that goes overseas with Lakan. And it is,
when he did his abroad studies?
Yes. So there was somebody, when he came back, there was somebody that was close to him. And there's one individual that he is close to. He talks about his uncle, who is a doctor that was removed from the palace, Lakan. So Lakan's uncle was a doctor for the royal palace and then was removed from the royal palace.
Okay.
And we know of one person that had that happen to him.
Okay. So yeah, this sounds like a pretty linear idea.
Yep.
So this would make, if this was to be a thing, it'd be like his great niece or something along those lines.
I think technically it's just his niece, because it would be his nephew's daughter. Yeah.
Great niece.
Yeah. I don't know. It's his nephew's daughter. That's
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We'll just put it that way. So yes, they are related to each other. And I want to say this is the uncle that helps Lakan see faces as the go pieces.
Yeah, they did make a mention of that. I don't remember exactly who told him the information. Yeah. To put two and two together, but yeah.
Yeah, I think they don't specifically say if it was Lauman or anybody else, but I'm just going to say, assume that it's the same person because he has such an influence. He is essentially taken in his daughter. So it would just make sense. He is also very smart, as we know.
Right.
So it just make a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if they'll make that obvious in season 2 or beyond. I mean, it's got to be something they'll definitely have to bring into focus.
Yeah, there'll be some sort of interconnecting moment that they're all together at one point. But yes, so they are all related to each other. And then I guess, so the other question is, they do, it's a very upfront question. We know about it. Do you believe Jinshi was swapped essentially at birth?
They did make that comment in the anime.
Yes.
And they made it sound pretty damn believable.
They did. And when they have the potential mother and son right next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially the anime showed him, like, him and his potential sister.
Mother.
That is his mother?
Yeah, that'd be his
she's
mom.
a young mother. Okay. It's hard to argue against it.
Yep. And that is Adu. Yeah, Adu, which is the purple-haired older woman who...
The one who they showed, like, she could be dressed as, like, a riding... She dressed more masculine, or she could be a more masculine, like, riding on a horse, kind of whatever.
The pure consort, as they called her. Yes, the one that leaves eventually.
Okay. So if we're talking about this...
Yes.
And she's the one that lost her child due to the honey incident?
Supposedly, yes.
Okay, so now we could hypothesize that if this was the case and Jinshi is the actual child who got swapped, she killed, like, the other woman accidentally killed, like, her not actual baby, and Jinshi just so happened to get swapped, and, like, so, like, her actual child is still alive and it is Jinshi. So, like, to put these kind of puzzle pieces together, is that kind of where we're going with this?
Yeah. Basically, do you think that Jinshi is Adu's son?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to 99% sure I'm going with this one.
Okay. I completely understand that one, which means he is technically the prince?
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, otherwise, do we know why he has his royalty status the way he does, other than it appears that if eunuchs have an automatic superior status because, like, they give up their manhood for their servancy kind of deal, like, other than that being a status thing of higher, do you think, like, the emperor might even know and, like, he's got, like, a secondary status?
So I think they talk about how did the emperor have a brother?
Ooh, I'm not remembering this right now.
I think the emperor had a brother. So I believe that Jinshi was like the good friend of the emperor's brother. And so he essentially did a favor for Jinshi because he's been around forever.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all I'm gonna, because it's essentially the emperor would be 13-ish when Jinshi was born. So it would have been before he became the emperor. So he was probably around and it's like, I can trust you. You're going to be in this position.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know. That's me grasping at straws at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we're only really bringing this up because he's definitely got a dual identity that we, as far as Jinshi is concerned, that we truly don't know everything about.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we continue, we should probably take a quick break.
And welcome back from our break. To continue our conversation, I would like to ask, there was a handful of mysteries and stuff that all this series has to offer. Okay. Did you have a favorite mystery that Mamo solved?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and kind of look at the episodes and see which one. I'm actually going to be a little weird. The roses one was probably my favorite one because it was so simple. Like, at the end of the day, it was so insanely simple.
The blue rose?
Yeah, the blue
ordeal?
rose.
Okay.
Yep. because it was just like, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess just kind of like a flamingo. If you just feed it colored water, it will change its petals. That makes complete sense. So yeah, I think that was my favorite mystery.
Okay. That's making me real hungry for shrimp right now. I totally go for some shrimp.
What about you? Do you have a favorite mystery that she solved?
Yeah, one of my favorites was the fake double suicide one, where that creepoid was wanting to get with that one woman for the longest time, and
yes.
It was relatively early in the series, and she ended up poisoning him in the same cup or the same style of drink that she was drinking from.
Yep.
But he drank the poison that was layered on top, and then she was smart enough to take that, like, not a bamboo straw, I forget what kind of straw they called it, but she drank from a straw, and she was able to drink from the bottom instead of the top.
So she got less of the poison.
Yeah, well, because she drank from the bottom, she appeared to drink the same drink, which made him confident to drink it to begin with. And then late the next morning, she poisoned herself so that she wouldn't be in as much danger and she could be helped sooner than the other guy. It was still kind of crazy that both of them ended up surviving in the end anyway.
Yep.
But I thought that whole concept was pretty crazy. And it was a crazy murder kind of scene that was like, okay, well, it was well thought out. And
Absolutely.
It almost worked.
It was really good. I did enjoy that one. For anybody that doesn't remember, that's the last few episodes of Core 1. Mm-hmm. That one was really good. They explained it super well. You got the true apothecary father who was like, so what did you see when you came up on this? What made you think of this? And it was really cool to see, like, up to this point, we thought Mao Mao was, like, above and beyond better than everybody else. And we're like, oh, no, she still has a lot of room to grow and get experience.
Right. Yeah, because it appeared that he already had a good idea.
He knew exactly what happened as soon as he walked in.
Yeah. And this was one word that always caught my attention was conjecture.
Yeah.
Mama said this so goddamn much. And her father made it clear that, like, you don't speak this kind of stuff out loud and, like, start these kind of rumors. But, like, she definitely talked to a couple ears about her conjecture. And she made it very obvious, like, this is just conjecture, so don't, whatever. So that caught my attention a lot.
Yeah.
But besides that was, Dad's like, it may be the case, but it's not our problem kind of deal.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because that's the other brothel that it's happening at. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that one. That was really good. Did you have just a favorite episode in general that you liked? Favorite moment? Maybe not necessarily murder, mystery.
The first thing that's come into my mind, maybe not just an episode in general, but something that caught my attention was when the first time that the ladies were trying to put makeup on Mao Mao and they were trying to, like, clean her face before they put makeup on. Yep. And then they took off her freckles. Yep. And then it totally opened up this whole world that not many of us would really think about. Was she made herself uglier to the public instead of beautifying herself.
Yeah.
So I love that whole concept.
Yeah, makeup has more than one purpose.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed that. The difference in Mao Mao that they bring up a multiple time is, oh, you look really different with makeup. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. What about you? Did you have another moment or an episode that comes to mind?
Oh, man. There were so many episodes. Like, to be completely honest, I really liked, like, the first poison one where they're testing Mao Mao and seeing how good of a poison tester she is, where she eats poison and throws it up. And it's like, can I get some more?
Yeah.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, that whole scene about her, like, taking that sip of that whatever soup or whatever.
Yep.
And then, like, the camera focuses in on her, and then she, like, gets flustered a little bit because she's getting excited. And then, like, her face turns, like, kind of sinister, and she's like, this is poison. And we're like, oh, yes, this is finally the moment where she can shine.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a real solid moment. I really liked that one.
I'm so happy they let her at least get poisoned, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Ingest some poison at least once while doing it, because her to be a poison tester, then like get fired and never taste any poison, while still they could have made it interesting. I believe it's so much better that she did actually have some poison. I also found it funny that they were like, oh yeah, your reaction was so essentially subdued. They didn't believe it was poison, and some other guy tried eating it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was kind of comical at that point too. And then Mama was like, how can someone be so stupid to do that? Her comments are always so goddamn funny.
Yes. Another, probably one of my favorite episodes. I really enjoyed so it's titled Lead. So it's the one with all the brothers, and she's going to the smithing house, and that whole basically start to finish process was really good, where it's like, all right, so how do you get through this one? And it's like her being so observant to the world around her is the only reason why she was able to figure this out, because nobody else would have figured this out.
Yeah, that was a very detective moment of her. Like, that was pure detective moment. That had
Correct.
nothing to do with her apothecary background.
Correct. And it was, I really enjoyed it because it was everything we've known about her up to this point. She used her skills coming from the brothel and her skill, just knowledge of everything to be able to figure this out.
Right. Yeah, so it was nice to know that poison or medicine, she can solve it all.
Correct. When it comes to season 2, as neither of us have actually watched anything of season 2, do you have any sort of expectations about what's going to happen?
Right off the bat, I think we're going to need to learn about Jinshi's real character, like his real background, his real place in the capital, because there was that one moment where him and his subordinate, whatever the guy's name is.
Oh, you're talking about his secretary, essentially. Yes.
Yeah. There was that one moment where he was wearing a hairpin.
Yes.
That was supposed to show how high up he was, but Mao Mao and most other people didn't notice it exactly, but they kind of made it important right here that, like, you showed off who you were when you weren't supposed to show off who you were.
That's Gaoshuan, by the way.
Gaoshuan, yep, that's the word. So I think his identity needs to be exploited.
Gaoshuan's identity, or
more
Jinshi's?
Specifically Jinshi.
Okay.
Or
yeah.
at the very least, Mamo is going to learn who he is.
Fair. Okay.
Or on top of that, it could be an and/or.
Okay.
That Jinshi is not actually a eunuch.
Gets found out about. Okay. Yeah.
Because they made it.
She's been in his lap more than once,
Yeah.
and she hasn't noticed.
That too.
I think that's an anime thing, but
right. But in the anime, they made it obvious / not point blank that he is not an actual eunuch. He's been taking these.
He takes that liquid. Yep.
That subdue his manliness, which is also kind of interesting because if he's like so physique, like it's not like he's taking like what we would consider today like hormone medicine to make him more girly, and yet he's so physically manly, but like face and hair beauty. Like I want a little bit of an explanation on that.
Yes, the liquid is interesting. His appearance, because of his genetics, is essentially what they're saying is above and beyond, is like top tier. Nothing's ever. They made him a commoner, and he was still more beautiful than like some of the nobles. Mm-hmm. So obviously he is way too. One of my favorite lines that Mao Mao says is that if he were to dress as a woman, he would start wars.
Yeah,
and it's very funny. It's just kind of, this is her thought process, and it's true. If Jinshi attempted to be a woman, he could probably make some men believe that he is actually a woman.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of novels for him to explore that too.
Yes, absolutely. I am very curious about what this liquid is doing. Is it essentially shriveling his balls? So it's, as far as Jinshi, Gaoshuan, we know he doesn't need to have it. It doesn't matter. He already has his kids.
Yeah.
At 36, apparently he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. In fact, he wants to hurry this shit up so that he can go back to his family.
Correct. I'm very curious about how long they, as in Gaoshuan and Jinshi, have been in the inner palace and how long this has been going on. and how long it's supposed to be going on.
Mm-hmm.
Does Jinshi just kind of disappear one day?
No idea.
He sticks out. It's not like he could just come back as, I don't want to try and guess a name, but as real, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be like, but you were Jinshi. What the fuck just happened?
Yeah, good point, because everybody in the capital knows Jinshi.
Yes.
So they're just going to reveal himself one day and everyone's just going to be okay with who he actually is.
Yeah. Or is he going to be the emperor? The emperor is going to die and bam, actually I'm in charge now.
Yeah. Actually, that might be late series kind of stuff, because
maybe
if, he is the prince in line that got swapped out on accident, whatever, I think it's pretty obvious that he might be next in line for the actual emperor.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, the reason why Jinshi's mother wasn't as taken care of, Adu was as taken care of, was because she was with the emperor before he was the emperor.
Oh, yeah. Because her pregnancy wasn't as important as whoever else's was.
Because it was the origin, or the emperor, the current emperor's father's concubine pregnancy that was going on. So it was Adu who was with the current emperor that was having a baby, and then the emperor's father's concubine that was having a baby. So not obviously, but at that period of time, obviously the emperor's future child is going to be more important than the emperor's son's child.
Right. Yeah. So putting these bits of information together is kind of important. I mean, I know there's a shit ton of characters to keep in line.
Yep.
Especially if most of us anime watchers are used to Japanese and they got all these Chinese names that are really confusing everybody.
Yeah, and there's all these family trees and lineages and
a bunch of, especially when we talk about like that youngest concubine who was like a mother-in-law at the age of like 9 or something like that. Like,
yeah, that was weird.
Shit gets really confusing really fast when they start mixing up all these trees.
And if anybody knows what is actually going on and we're wrong, please let us know. We will gladly take some corrections when it comes to this one.
Yeah, leave some comments. We would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, we don't have a whiteboard of who all the characters are and how they're interconnected. My wall behind me is not big enough for that one.
No. I do have a question.
Yes.
Did they ever mention why Mamo is in debt with Granny?
Mamo is in debt.
I have an idea, but I don't think they ever explained it.
So what's your idea?
Okay, so they were explaining that after her mom gave birth to her and went crazy, that mom was like the staple, the number one girl of that brothel.
Okay.
And then after she gave birth, she went crazy. She was less valuable, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And they made a comment that because of that, the brothel almost went out of business.
Correct.
So I'm wondering if Granny puts that blame on the child, Mao Mao.
Okay.
For her almost going out of business.
I have the answer to this question, but continue.
And she just wants to put the blame and be like, I need you, the child, to reimburse me for like these years of me being in debt.
Make up for lost wages. Okay. Yeah.
So that's my thought process. So what are you thinking?
Okay. So they do talk about this in the light novel for sure. I thought they brought it up in the anime, which is why I did not bring this up. But Lakan was not allowed to go inside the brothel for a very long time. He was the one that had to repay the debt. So the reason why he is able to go back into the brothel is because he has essentially paid his debt to the grandmother for impregnating and ruining the image of their the house.
Okay.
So that is who has to pay that one.
Okay, so Lakan is the one paying for all that,
correct?
Not Mamo?
Correct.
So Lakan didn't put that on Mamo?
Correct.
Okay, so
Mao Mao is in debt to the grandmother because of the puppy that has an infatuation with the courtesan. So she essentially paid for his entertainment.
Okay, but prior to that soldier coming into the picture,
yes,
she was always in debt. And like she made comment that Granny always wants to make me into like...
Because she lives there. She essentially, like, she's always trying to have Mao Mao become a courtesan because, well, besides the physical appearance or assets, Mao Mao is smart enough and intriguing enough that she would be an interesting courtesan.
Okay, I can accept that. I suppose at this rate, the whole debt idea didn't really come into focus until that soldier was a thing.
Yep.
They just to make it super on point. I just assumed she was always super in debt prior to that, but it does make 100% sense that when she offered those 3 sticks of whatever, like saying like you can get with any of the 3 princesses, that costs like a year's worth of salary, whatever. That makes sense that she would go into debt for that one specifically. And
it's a year's salary of like a higher up, like an official's salary. Mao Mao probably makes, well, like peanuts in comparison.
Right. Okay. Now that we're talking about that one, I'm totally on board with that being the answer. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the soldier,
yes,
and then when she obviously went for the homecoming,
Lihaku,
yep. And when they both left for the homecoming, and Jinshi comes over and is like, "Oh, where's Mamo?" And then Gyoku's like, "Oh, she left with another man." And then Jinshi's getting all flustered,
getting all jealous.
Leaving with another guy. It's really funny about all these little things that make Jinshi super jealous. And then like another moment when she's in that one room with Lihaku and she's observing his muscular body.
Yes.
And then Jinshi comes back in and is like, "Well, I just needed to examine the goods." And like, I needed another line was like, "I need to make sure like I gave him a full night. I gave him a hard night's work and I did my best." And
I think it was a full night's work.
There's like all these little innuendos that are super sexual, but on the other hand, it's actually very serious about whatever.
The phrasing,
jokes are so great.
The phrasing is so great because to her, she's being completely innocent. And to him, and he's like, "What did you do all night?" Like,
exactly. Yeah, and then Mamo makes that comment like, "Oh, he's always putting my chastity into question and stuff like that." But Jinshi just wants to make sure that Mamo is so pure for his future's sake because obviously he has a goal.
Yeah, all those moments are great.
I do have a fake half-baked theory that's going on right now.
Okay.
So I don't truly believe this, but I just want to put a little food for thought out there. Mm-hmm. What if Jinshi's actually the bad guy? So Jinshi's always got his fingers in all the pots, and he's involved with all of these mysteries.
So you think Jinshi is the culprit behind everything?
To a degree. Like maybe there's a big grand scheme that he's thinking of something. Maybe it's some way to make the capital fall or some way to hurry his way to the emperor's spot. Because he seems to know bits and pieces about everything. He always has an idea of who the culprit is. Like, for example, the woman who poisoned the child with honey. He suspected that woman right off the bat. So, like, what if he's constructing or orchestrating all of these little things together, kind of like how this first season ended, where like we got like 5 different stories put together in order to end with the fake metal thing falling on where Jinshi would have been. And that could have been like a really big gamble on him, relying on Mamo to figure it out, to save him so that we wouldn't think that he's the bad guy. But in all actuality, he's the Joker and he's the one pulling all the strings.
I think that is a fantastic theory.
It is so out of the way. Like I said, there's no way that I truly believe this.
Okay.
But what if he is this asshole? Oh, the other point is that multiple times he said that Mamo is his favorite play toy. So what if that's another reason to why this is all happening to begin with? Because he's going just that far.
Good thought. Good thought. He had favorite play toys his entire life, which they bring up. Because I feel like the series eventually will be Mao Mao and Jin Shi end up together. I don't...
That's what I would like to believe, too.
Obviously, if that's the case, he can't be the bad guy.
Right. It's a wild idea, but ultimately I would like to imagine that this is a happy-go-lucky kind of story.
Yeah.
And they end up happily together. Jin Shi is the emperor. Mao Mao started from the bottom, and now she's on top as his number one concubine because emperors don't have wives, they have concubines.
But they do make mention that he needs to get married and have a child. He essentially needs to have an heir.
Right. She'll be his bottom bitch. She will be his bottom bitch.
I think Mao Mao will be be the queen.
Yeah. I think that, the way things are going, she's way too important.
Absolutely. Obviously, because she's the main character. But yeah, if you had to give this a rating, what would you do?
Okay, so being a shonen bitch, obviously this isn't my absolute cup of tea, but this was a very solid anime.
Okay.
There was a little bits and pieces of like your enemy of the week kind of concept going on with your mystery of the week.
Fair.
So there's a lot of that. There was moments where every time like she figured something out, there was always that super aha moment, and then she was immediately rushing out of the door to go do something. Like, it might be because like I rewatched this 2.5 times, and I'm like, okay, well, every time she figures something out, she's always in a rush to go do something. Mm-hmm. So I probably pinpointed that a little bit too aggressively. Mm-hmm. I wonder how well they will entertain that in the future to keep things interesting. Will everything be that extreme? But despite that, it was a very interesting watch. Loved everything.
Okay.
Like we said earlier, this is a very neutral show for everybody. So this might be like a 8.5 to a 9.
Okay.
This very solid show. What'd you think?
As far as the rating is concerned, I'd give you that one. 8.5, 9. It very good. Obviously, there's no real action or anything. So if that's what you're looking for, that's not going to happen.
No.
But it's very good. I will agree. I think I said this already. I agree with Cameron where this is definitely a top tier anime. If somebody were to say, hey, this is my anime of the year, I would not fight them on it.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, I can completely understand what you're going with this. The artwork was beautiful. One of my favorite things when it comes to anime is how well they do the eyes. And everybody's eyes were just on point. Absolutely stunning.
Totally agree.
And everybody was unique in that aspect.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody that looked anything near like copy and paste.
Correct.
Everybody was unique enough.
Yep. All the animation was very well done. This is a very, very good show. And I think I watched it twice within like 2 months.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a very easy rewatch, which I think is a good criteria that is needed for like ranking something up higher is how many times can you rewatch this before you get sick of it. And I didn't get sick of it on my second watch through. The light novel didn't get tiring. So it stands the repeatability that is required to be a top tier anime.
Definitely. And like I made comment earlier in this episode too, like on my second watch through, I picked up on more details that I missed out the first time. Things make more sense, and it makes you question more things about the future. So a lot more questions could be raised the more times you watch this.
Absolutely. And I'm so looking forward to what we get in season 2 and beyond.
Agreed.
I believe we should continue on with what seems to be our new normal, and that's me hopefully trying my best to not fail at Pokemon. We'll see how that goes. I'm not holding my breath.
All right, so I think I might have made today's Pokemon quiz a tad bit easier. So hopefully, I say that now. I've said that in the past, but we'll see. We're going to continue with Gen 1 questions.
Okay.
So question 1 is going to be, what Pokemon does Brock have in Gen 1 involving red, blue, and yellow?
Like the whole layout?
His whole team, yep.
Okay, so I know he has Onyx. I know he has Geodude. And it should be 3, right?
Maybe.
Oh man. I know I'm just gonna guess Onyx and Geodude. I'm drawing a blank on if there's more.
All right, final answer?
Yep.
All right. You are correct.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Hey, you got something right. Yeah, so he had Geodude and Onyx.
Yep.
And when I looked into this, I found out that there is a slight difference between red and blue and yellow. Red and blue are actually tougher than yellow. So
Interesting.
Geodude and red and blue are at level 12. And in yellow, his Geodude is at level 10.
Okay.
In red and blue, Onyx is at 14. And in yellow, Onyx is at 12. So technically, Brock is easier in yellow version.
But you also don't get the opportunity to start off with a grass or water type.
Exactly. So
to make your life easier.
Yeah. So I would like to imagine that that's why they dumbed him down just a tad.
Yeah.
All right. So question 2, Gen 1. Who is the stinkiest Pokemon? Muck or Gloom?
I'm going to go with Gloom.
All right. Gloom is actually the wrong answer.
Damn.
The anime, I did make this a little bit specific. I threw Gloom in there. Gloom is on the top 3.
Okay.
Because
where are they getting these figures from?
Just Pokedex entries, essentially.
Okay.
Or just whatever the internet is saying.
Okay.
Gloom was up there because of the anime and how that Gloom stunk up that gym for the longest time.
Sure. I remember that.
Okay, well, I watched the Pokemon anime many, many times, apparently. But Muck is the stinkiest Pokemon. Grimer is right there as well, but Muck is the next step up, obviously.
Yep.
And one thing that I read up on the internet was that Muck is so goddamn toxic and stinky that a single droplet of him into a body of water could toxify that entire body of water.
Sure. Yeah. That's sound logic.
Yeah. And in addition to that, every time Muck came out of the Pokeball, it was instantly stinky and stuff like that too. So,
sure,
just little bits of information. The anime might help with this for a lot of things.
Okay.
Right, so sorry, you got number 2 wrong.
Oh, well, at least I've gotten 1, so I'm happy.
All right, question 3: what level does Paris evolve at?
Oh, fuck. 34.
Wow, interesting. Okay, that's pretty far off. But Paris evolves at level 24.
Hey, I got the 4 right.
Yeah, so you're off by 10 levels.
That's close. That's real close.
Yeah, so another piece of shit Pokemon that nobody really cares about. Obviously, I have to have that evolution question in there. But hey, at least you got 1 question right today.
All right, we can start back at 1. My streak is back at 1.
There you go. Yeah, so that's going to conclude our Pokemon quiz for this week.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Hopefully, next time I can continue the streak of at least getting 1 answer correct. But I'm not holding my breath. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will see.
Okay, because this is our 100th episode, and I feel like it's been a while since we've had a long episode, let's do some general anime talk before we get into just kind of looking back at 100 episodes. That's insane. It's still crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. We've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah. I guess as far as general anime is concerned, what are you currently watching? What are you excited about?
So with where we are in today's recording, still going through this is considered the spring series, spring season.
Winter.
This is winter season?
Yeah, it's still winter. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We got Dr. Stone.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
So fun.
Still considers Dr. Stone one of my top 3 anime.
Nice.
We got Shangri-La Frontier.
Yep.
That one's going solid. It's not like this is super extreme, like super amazing. Everything's still very interesting.
It's a fun show.
It's a fun show. That's a good way to put it. Dragon Ball Daima. It's getting better. I can say that much for sure.
Okay.
Like the first 12 episodes were kind of whatever, but this second core of Daima has definitely taken the next step up. Despite what the anime community might be saying about Super Saiyan 4, I'm still okay with this. I'm in the minority of the community who actually appreciates Super Saiyan 4. So I'm okay with what's going on right now. I'm just okay with it.
I don't like it for the fact that they're literally just giving it to us to give it to us.
That's what it feels like. There's so much forcing that's going on in Daima.
Yep.
That nothing feels like it's earned. That's for sure.
Yep.
We can complain about this if we ever want to go into depth with Daima. I don't think we'll ever go into depth with Daima. I mean, if we wanted to make a short episode about it, we could.
Yep.
But geez, like everything is so forced in Daima. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, too quick. Super Saiyan 4, too quick.
Yep.
I mean, the battles that are going on, acceptable to a degree.
Okay.
But there's nothing that's putting me on the edge of my seat. Like Dragon Ball Super put me on my edge of the seat a couple times.
Yeah.
And when Super 2 comes out, obviously after reading the manga, can't wait for a handful of things.
Yep.
It's going to be exciting. But Daima, yeah, they're just putting activity out there. I mean, I know it's Toriyama's last thing. Mm-hmm. It's great. Good for the community, but
yeah, I can appreciate that, but as far as the show itself is concerned, no.
Yeah. So, without digging a deeper hole, yeah, that's fine. Other than that, our last 2 episodes that we've been doing 24 episodes, so like I've really been investing a lot of time into this.
Yep.
But like outside of anime, my wife and I finished Cobra Kai.
Okay,
so
nice.
We're finally done with Cobra Kai. Now we're gonna go back and rewatch the Karate Kid series 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So now that we can officially appreciate the entire series in general.
Okay.
So we'll get there at one point. And then other than that, I've been trying to finish up Squid Games season 2. Okay. I'm on the final episode. Haven't completely finished at this point, but I'm there.
Okay.
It's fun. Squid Games is a fantastic series. And that's what I've been doing with my free time.
Nice. What about One Piece?
One Piece? I put that on pause a while ago. I think I'm around episode 600 or so. Maybe a little bit beyond that.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, like I said, we've been covering some pretty heavy anime recently, so
true.
I haven't been able to invest a lot of spare time for other stuff.
Valid. That's very valid. That is very factual.
Yeah. Today's episode we covered 24 episodes. Our last episode we covered 24 episodes. Plus I read the manga for that.
Yep.
If you haven't listened, I'm assuming our listeners right now are not listening to us in series, but our last episode was Undead Unluck, so that's a full series for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you? What are you doing on the side?
Oh man, I am a little all over the place when it comes to watching stuff on the side. Solo leveling.
Oh, definitely. I can't believe
fantastic.
I forgot about that. Absolutely amazing.
ReZero just started back up. Zenshu I've been watching. I may be a guild receptionist, but I can solo like any dungeon. That one's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Some other stuff. Headhunted in Another World, which our good friend William is one of the like main characters in that one. One of the main side characters in that one.
Nice. Dr.
Stone, Shangri-La, Ari Ferretta. I don't know if you remember that show, but season 3 just concluded on that one pretty recently.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't started season 3 at all yet.
And then watching some other stuff beyond just the stuff that we've been covering. I've been trying to watch a little bit of everything, kind of go out there on a limb. Obviously, I just rewatched Apothecary Diaries for the second time. Mm-hmm. So I've been watching quite a bit in between what time I have for other things. I feel like there was something else I was watching, but I can't really find it. I know there's another episode, or I know there's another series that I'm watching, but I just don't remember. It might be 2, but either way,
yeah. I know the last time we met up, you had put your fingers in like 10 different anime.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, let me watch a couple episodes of this and this and this and this. Yeah.
Ooh, actually, that reminds me. I did watch another one.
Okay.
Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Interesting. I have not watched that one.
Oh, and I'm just seeing now that there's actually 3 seasons of this. Oh, wait. Okay, Crunchyroll's saying there's 3 seasons, but there's season 1, and then there's a movie,
Okay.
and then there's Operation Desert Pasta. Don't know what any of that is. Anyway, okay, I saw the first 12 or the first 13 episodes of the season.
Okay.
Pretty interesting. Basically an isekai where this dude gets reincarnated into this little girl, and then it almost feels like in the past, but also with super high tech, super futuristic things going on. And they're just in the middle of this giant fucking war. And this dude's got high intellect, so he's just really smart as this little girl. And then she's just a fucking evil bitch. And then she is all about destroying the enemy. So this is all about like war. So this reminded me a lot of like 86.
Okay.
But she's all about destruction. And like she's the commander, and she's leading this little troop on their way. The way season 1 ends, there's definitely more to come. Obviously, I just said there's a movie. I didn't watch the movie. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if that's part of the canon or not. But I thought it was interesting enough. Maybe we can have a quick episode on that in the future. It's good enough.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I totally forgot to watch that one. I like literally just finished it last week.
Very nice. Okay, I really want to talk about just kind of, because this is our 100th episode and we always have to talk about anime, had to cover a series. Glad we were able to cover something different. We definitely expanded our horizons, you could say, as far as what we're covering. Because I want to say, like the first 2 episodes, when Ricky was still joining us on the episodes, we covered season 1 and 2 of Demon Slayer. Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy to think about trying to do that now. Like, we would have definitely cut that up into 2 different episodes. We covered so much content in a short period of time, because I think that episode was that 2 hours?
Our first like actual episode 1 was Demon Slayer. Yeah. And I'm seeing right here that it was an hour and a half long.
Yep.
And
okay.
That one consisted of all of season 1 plus the movie.
Okay, yep. See the movie, which
Mugen
was
Train.
Mugen Train was, yep. And like a little behind the scenes, we'd actually recorded essentially that whole thing twice.
We did. Yeah. I remember that very specifically. Like our very first episode, we got into this and we were like way too serious about how to break down these anime that we wanted to talk about. My first impulse was to be like, okay, let's break down every single episode, talk about every single episode, and really dive deep into literally everything. And it got to a point where it was almost like boring talking about stuff. It was like, okay, no, we just need to broaden things.
He's being nice. It was insanely boring. Nobody would listen to any of that.
Yeah. So it was time consuming in the beginning because we recorded the first one.
Yep.
We didn't like it. And then
we hated it.
Yeah. And then we got back together 2 weeks later or the very next week. And we're like, okay, let's restart this.
Yep.
And go. And it was a much better, more comfortable fitting. Just take a couple drinks, get comfortable, and let's just shoot the shit about anime, just like any other couple of friends would do when it comes to anime.
It's literally what we were doing before we started talking about the episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we knew from that moment on, we knew exactly what we didn't want to do.
Yep. That's the best way to say it. Yeah. Yeah, it was the trial run was very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so needed. We had no idea what we're doing. We just kind of shoot from the hip and go from there, but we at least kind of have an idea of what we want at the end of the day.
Right.
It was that was something. Man, that was a fun time. Still drinking a bunch, so you can't complain there.
Yeah. Coming up with topics to talk about, anime to watch is always an interesting kind of conversation between us on the side because we want to talk about something that's popular, to talk about something that's not popular. We don't want to be another podcast that just floods the stations with useless information.
Yep.
We wanted to talk about stuff on the side as well. Like we talked about Darwin's Game and Glipner, stuff that maybe not hardcore anime watchers would even consider. Stuff that might not even be advertised on Crunchyroll or whatnot. It's just these smaller names that actually turned out to be amazing anime.
Yeah, we wanted to cover stuff that first and foremost we enjoyed.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like it's hard to have a conversation around stuff that you're not actually enjoying what you're watching. We've had a few episodes where we've watched like 2 episodes and we're like, no, this isn't happening. I think we were going to watch, it was Heroes something. And I watched like the first episode and I reached out to you guys and I was like, yeah, we're not covering this. This is not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to bore you guys with low quality. If we can't get excited about talking about it, then we're just not going to cover it, period.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of been pretty consistent as far as what we want to cover, but we've been a little bit out there, covering some older stuff. I know our previous Halloween episode with Corpse Princess was kind of older. Lance's favorite episode, which was our first Halloween episode, which was High School of the Dead.
Yeah. That's not because of the boobs. It was because of the zombies.
The boobs helped. But
boobs helped. But no, I'm a huge zombie fan, so that was still what I consider the best zombie anime that's out there.
Unfortunately, yeah, that is one of the better zombie series out there. I will still say covering Your Lie in April, that was that was a tearjerker right there, but I think
it's definitely an anime staple too.
Absolutely.
So us pushing ourselves to do these kind of things, like not just to watch it, but to cover it because it's almost like a duty to like you have to have some kind of conversation around these kind of staples.
It's hard to say you're a hardcore anime fan when there's certain shows you haven't watched. Naruto, like I give Naruto some crap. I understand people's enjoyment and desire for it. No, not my favorite, but I'm definitely on the Bleach side when it comes to the two of those. And you have to at least see them. Another one is going to be like Death Note. If you enjoy anime, you got to at least try it. You got to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Promised Neverland is probably another one of those. You got to watch season 2. You got to suffer through it like everybody else.
Yeah, you have to be part of the community to understand why everybody's upset about why season 2 let everybody down after season 1.
Correct. Absolutely. I will say I still love Plunderer and Glipner. Darwin's Game, I wish they would continue Darwin's Game. We're not going to.
Yeah, all 3 of those. Like those 3 had such great stories. They all deserve another season.
Absolutely. I still can't believe how much I read for Promised Neverland season 2. That was like 180 chapters.
That's crazy.
I did such a disservice for the manga mentions because it was like, I have like 3 days. I need to get through this. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I got time. No, I don't. No time at all when it came to trying to get through that. I think I talked for like an hour on that, and I could have covered even more.
Oh yeah.
So for anybody who hasn't watched season 2 of Promised Neverland, I will still say season 2, without reading the manga, was just fine.
Yeah. It was still worth the watch.
Yes.
But after learning that there is such an insane amount of differences, you're just going to get disappointed.
Yep.
That's about it. That's about as much as you can throw that.
It's not as bad as Twin Stars.
Twin Stars was terrible.
Twin Stars was so bad.
Terrible in the sense that it was so insanely different between the anime and the manga because
yes,
they might as well have been 2 different anime.
They were completely different. Not even the premise was almost completely different.
Yeah, I still feel sorry for making you go through all of that. There's so much anime to watch and so much manga to read.
You were so excited.
Yeah, like one of my old friends told me about it a long time ago, and I loved it because that was back when I was still getting like super into anime. Like I was obviously when we were younger we were into anime, but like anime wasn't life at that point. But like at that point in time, like anime was becoming my life. Yeah, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. This is your monster of the week, and they're having powers and they're whatever. And then I was just excited to share it with somebody else, and then come to find out that like, god damn, it's so different.
Just kidding. The stories are not the same. They just share a name. That's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
I still feel bad about the Yu Yu Hakusho episode.
Oh man.
We
did a great job covering it. I'm pretty sure my mic was turned off at that point. This is before we got our updated mics.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure I had it on off, and my audio was being picked up through Tyler and Matt's mic. So the sound quality wasn't the best, but we did have a fantastic job covering it. Oh, also in addition to that, we also lost a chunk of that.
Yeah, we lost a chunk because it didn't record. I don't even remember why it didn't record. Oh, yeah, we had such a great segment and it just wasn't there. And I was like, oh no.
Yep.
And we there was no going back. We had probably 30 minutes. It was like 20, 30 minutes of conversation and it was just gone.
Yeah. That sucks so bad.
I was far and away our favorite series, and we did not do the service that it's deserved, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally agree. Could have been one of the most personally, and for you for the most part too, because would you still consider you your number one?
I have to. Like it's I'm very fluid on what my top 3 to 5 are, but it will always be within the top. It stands the test of time. I can rewatch it tomorrow. If I'm just like, you know what, I just want anime to turn on, I will just turn on Yu Yu Hakusho. Like it'll just, all right, I need some background noise. Here we go. I have the 30th anniversary box set sitting upstairs, and it's so good. Meeting Justin Cook was like a bucket list kind of thing. Such an amazing person, and pretty much a voice of my childhood.
Definitely, 100% agree.
And I was so happy to meet him, and Yu Yu Hakusho will stand the test of time as far as anime is concerned. The Dark Tournament will forever be one of the best arcs in anime. I can definitively say, no matter how old it gets, it will still be considered one of the best ones.
I agree.
So it'll just nothing will ever be able to knock down Yu Yu Hakusho, for sure.
Yeah. I guess which also kind of brings into mind like Netflix's version of the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. They tried. They did an okay job. I liked the couple differences that they made, at least as far as like early series had begun.
Yeah.
Making things a little bit more realistic. I was okay with that, but they put too much information into like the 6 or 8 episodes that they were allowed.
Yep.
And that's where they fucked up. They should have followed the series to a slight degree, where they should have had a chunk of time with the pre-Dark Tournament, and they should have had an actual chunk of time for the actual Dark Tournament, instead of just having a weird movie series.
Yep. Where
they just jumped ahead to fight Team Toguro in the end for whatever fucking reason.
Correct.
So it's unfortunate. It was okay. I appreciate it for what it was.
I appreciate the effort, but it was terrible.
But they should have. What they're doing with One Piece on Netflix, what they're doing is a great job on One Piece.
Yep.
They should have also done with Yu Yu Hakusho, because unfortunately they did a disservice to the Dark Tournament right there. Like they skipped all of the Dark Tournament. They kind of hinted at like a Saint Beast arc, which makes no sense because that obviously happens before the Dark Tournament, and then terrible time. Yeah.
Just some quirks that we did. You know, we covered seasons 1 through 3 of My Hero in 2 episodes.
Yeah, we never did another chunk of like 4 through 6 or whatever.
Yeah, we're like, let's get some more in, and then here we are. We just kind of that was episodes 29, which we have 29 on here twice.
Yeah, part A and part B.
Yeah, part 1, part 2 of 29. So it's a bunch of content, which that series is going to has one more season. My Hero has one more season left. Yeah.
If that's the case, probably have to go with the flow. Make sure we get
cover 4 through 7.
I don't know about getting that broad, but we'll definitely have to cover the finale of this.
Yes, I'm enjoying what happened. I know a lot of people complained about this series ending. Much like JJK, they left themselves two possibilities as far as what the ending was going to be. I'm not going to go into it. And it picked one. We'll put it that way. So I have no issues with the ending. I actually kind of enjoyed what they did at the end of My Hero. I'll be curious if they do any spin-off stuff, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was fun covering some other staples like Slime, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer.
Let's see. Tokyo Revengers. Did you hear that they're finally dubbing season 3 of Tokyo Revengers?
Are they?
Yep.
So we can finally cover it in the near future?
Coming out in March.
Oh my God, really?
This spring.
Okay. So yeah, by the time most of you are hearing this, it's dubbed.
It's dubbed.
So we'll get there. We'll have to talk to Alec about that one, get him back on board.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I'm so thankful for this podcast. I've gotten more into anime because of this than what I ever thought I could have. Mm-hmm. Like I've expanded my horizons as far as what I want to watch, how much I watch, which might not necessarily be a good thing. But I read so much more manga. To put it in perspective, I have read 3,800 chapters of manga at this point.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of reading.
And
that's not even counting the light novels that you've thrown into this as well.
Yeah. I probably never would have watched Oshinoko. I'll be honest, there's a lot of shows I never would have watched if it wasn't for the podcast. Meeting William was such an awesome opportunity. Meeting Bradley on our second time getting to talk with William was so much fun. Mm-hmm. Lantz, your life is so busy that you missed out on that one.
Yeah, I was really busy at that time. And for everybody who's not picking up, those are two voice actors that we've met through the AnimazeShow.
Yep.
So thank you, Bryce, for giving us that opportunity to even talk to a couple of voice actors. Yeah,
absolutely. Going to conventions. I had never done that before this podcast.
Yeah, the podcast was definitely a pusher and for getting us to be like, okay, screw it, let's get it over with. Let's go to an actual convention. Let's dress up. Let's be part of this nerd community. And I fucking love it. I love dressing up. I love talking with other people. I love getting recognized for who I dress up as. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's so much fun. It definitely gets you out of the comfort zones you didn't realize you were in. Mm-hmm. In it. I know it would not have happened if we hadn't done this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. I really am. Just the community that we've kind of built, the people we've interacted with because of this podcast. It's crazy to think, 3.5 years ago, I was kind of, just barely back here in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And now it's been, it's been 5 years.
Yeah. You've turned your spare bedroom into quite the studio.
Yeah.
It's quite decked out. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I've made a TikTok about it where I've given a little bit of an introduction. Matt's definitely added a couple more figures and posters since that video, but we'll update it again after Kitsune Con that's going on in Green Bay in a couple of months here.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get a couple more bits.
I remember looking at pictures and it was like the table desk that we're using and the Ichigo Bankai sword and the Inuyasha scroll that I've had since I was 14. That was the whole thing. That was it.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of decoration. And now we got 20 posters around here, 30 figures. And this is just Matt's contribution to it. I mean, I contributed a couple of these posters, but for the most part, this is mainly Matt's.
Yeah, most of the stuff behind you've contributed to. The rest of the room, it's been just kind of what this podcast has attributed to. Mm-hmm. Really, I would say this room is 100% a testament of what we've done. That every poster and figure that's in here we've covered. Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball Z in different aspects, Slime, Bleach, My Hero Academia. It's
Freyrin right there.
Freyrin. We got Freyrin. We've got Raftalia from Shield Hero. That's another one of those shows that judge a book by its cover.
100%. Yeah, the title alone deterred me from even wanting to watch it, but then when you told me that it was amazing, or at least season 1, season 1 was amazing.
It was amazing from what we knew what was out, because season 2 hadn't been out yet.
Yeah.
And it's...
yeah, we've come a long ways, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And as far as we're concerned, there's no stopping. So we'll try to get another 100 episodes out there.
Oh, there's no try. We'll continue it in another 4 years when we're closer to 40 than 30. We'll
yeah, right. Yeah. We'll try not to act our age. We'll try to be open to everybody.
Absolutely. Have you had like a favorite series that we've watched? Maybe not Moroku-chan, but
that one was okay. I liked it. Was entertaining in Moroku-chan enough.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that one. It was something. And then they're doing a live action of that. I'm so curious.
Yeah,
how they're going to do that one.
I'm seeing lots of things online about live actions. Definitely curious about whether they're good or not. I will always 100% give live action a shot, because I will defend them to the end for at least giving it a try.
Absolutely. I mean, Zom 100, that live action was good.
Yeah, definitely appreciated that.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned a little bit ago, One Piece live action was fantastic.
So I've heard.
Full Metal's movies were pretty decent.
Okay.
Bleach was kind of cringy.
100%. There's no kind of. It was.
Tokyo Ghoul was kind of cringy.
Absolutely.
Death Note was a little cringy.
Yep.
But despite that, I'm still glad I watched them.
I'm trying to think. So the first anime movie I saw in theaters was because of this, the superhero movie. Or no, it was the Demon Slayer movie.
Yeah.
Mugen Train.
Mugen Train.
Yep. That was the first anime movie that I saw in theaters. I think that was probably one of the first opportunities I was given.
Yeah, that sounds like it was relatively a new concept, or at least in a place like Green Bay, Wisconsin. Like it's not like we're in some super populated place like California or Florida or something that has a lot of people. Like,
yeah.
But some movie that got widespread, so it definitely had to jump on that train and prove that it was a good idea to put anime into movies, into theaters.
Yep. But then we had the superhero movie. Shit, that was from 22.
So long ago. And the craziest part, that didn't get put into a manga until much later either.
That's so just crazy to think about.
Yeah. The movie came out, and then like a year or so later, the manga about that came out.
Yep. We have the JJK Zero movie that we went and saw. Mm-hmm. Or no, we didn't go see that one, but we did cover it. And now they're getting the Gojo basically prelude movie. So it's going to be about Gojo's like upbringing and him as a child and stuff.
Oh, we're going to get more information on Gojo.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll be exciting. Everybody loves Gojo.
Everyone loves Gojo. I mean, I only have like a scroll, a figure, a couple posters. Yeah.
Yeah, he's badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I think SAO, the continuation of the Asuna arc stuff, is getting greenlit or moved forward, one of those two. So that'll be really fun. The Swordsmith Village movie that we went and saw, which was the first time we went and basically saw
the pre-release of a season.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad that they started doing something like that. I mean, it sounds like to some people it'd be a waste because like I'm just going to see it for free on Crunchyroll, but to go see it in theaters with a bunch of other nerds before it becomes officially released, it's a different experience, and it just feels so nice.
Absolutely. And then, we saw the next season pre-release where we finally get to see Nezuko in the theater, and it was so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not going to turn down any of that kind of stuff. Like the last one of a pre-release we saw was Solo Leveling.
Yep.
100% worth it. Seeing it on the big screen with all the speakers, just the whole environment was just so worth it.
Absolutely. Chainsaw Man, the Rias movie is supposed to be coming out, I think, next year or later this year, which is basically a character we haven't met yet as far as anime watchers are concerned. So that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, we watched that like over 50 episodes ago.
Yeah, I want to say Chainsaw Man, and we were so pumped for it. March of 23 was when we released Chainsaw Man. That was episode 43. We're like, oh yeah, this is going to get like the My Hero treatment, Demon Slayer treatment, and it's been 2 years and still nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely earned their rewards for Anime of the Year of 2023, but
Yep.
Damn, it's been so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we covered all of ReZero. We covered all of Spy Family. Definitely staples of the anime community. All of Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War.
Demon Slayer.
Up to now. All of Demon Slayer.
Yep. It's been, oh man. Attack on Titan, having to push through Attack on Titan. Not saying Attack on Titan isn't good, but some people are like, this is the best anime and it's not even close. And I'm like, no, that's not my opinion. Lantz kept trying to push me to continue through Attack on Titan. He's like, it gets good. It gets good. I'm like, fine, I guess so.
Yeah. It's a hit or miss for a lot of people.
Yep. It's good. When
it was good, it was fucking on top.
Yep.
But then there was a lot of backstory to consume. And the lows were there. Like, you had to consume a lot of lows.
Mashal. It's so much fun. I loved Mashal. There's no reason. Mashal is just so ridiculous. And it's so much fun. And it knows exactly what it is. And I love it. It will never be a top 5 series, but I will watch every episode.
Yeah. Such an easy, simple watch.
Absolutely. Eminence, Shangri-La, Freyrin. I'm getting my wife to watch Freyrin. She's, I don't know. We'll see. She has not said no. She continues to watch it. We'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, that one's it's an easy watch.
Yeah.
I think it's neutral enough for everybody to watch.
Yeah.
At least it'll leave behind some memories.
Speaking of memories, Nier Automata. Well, at least you know where all the figures come from.
Yeah. Yeah. Nier's a decent show.
Did you watch season 2?
I did.
Did it get better?
I was totally on board with Nier from the beginning.
Okay.
Just because it seemed so video game-esque.
It did.
And obviously there is a video game for it. But I was on board with it because of the way that the whole storyline kind of was.
Okay.
And season 2 kind of turned into like a zombie-esque kind of version of robots and stuff like that. So
robots versus zombies. Okay.
I'm only throwing it out there kind of lightly.
Okay.
But it was still interesting. Season 2 was still appreciated enough.
Okay. Interesting. I apologize again for Corpse Princess. It was something. It was something. Dandanon, still so good. Never would have met Cameron without this podcast, so I'm very, very happy about that one, because it was literally because of this podcast that we were able to meet Cameron, and such a great guy. Very, very appreciative of meeting him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if anybody has listened to previous episodes of us, we had him guest host a couple times. Yep. He will be guest hosting on our very next episode as well.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty fair to say he's deeper in anime than we even are.
Just broader view of anime. Yes.
Yeah, he knows his shit, and he gets very emotionally involved in a lot of anime too. So it's a lot of fun talking to him.
Yes, absolutely. The conversations that we have are so much fun. Everything that's been brought because of this podcast, it's been fantastic. If anybody has any favorite moments from previous episodes, please let us know. We love hearing your comments. It definitely helps keep us motivated. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely a lot of late nights. It's been a lot of fun. Definitely worth it. I cannot wait to see what the next, I guess, 3.5 years brings, if if that's how long it takes us to get to another 100 episodes. I will say I'm very thankful for you and Ricky, because you guys were the ones that came up with this idea and kind of invited me along for the ride. And now here we are. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
And that is all we have for our 100th episode. Still can't believe it's been 100 episodes already. Please make sure to check out the AnimazeShow on Facebook and Instagram. Check out all the awesome anime content they have on there. Also, please subscribe to us, drop a like, and leave a comment. What did you think of Apothecary Diaries? And let us know, what have you thought of us as far as a podcast? Have a good one.
Later, guys.